and welcome to Warp Factor Unknown, the podcast where we delve into the world of Star Trek for an unpredictable rewatch and discussion. I'm your host, Dan, and joining me today is the master of chair mounting, Tom.
Amazing to be here.
Fantastic, good. Today, we are talking about the Star Trek Enterprise episode, E-Squared, and that is from Season 3, Episode 21. Before we get into our discussion, we need to do a little recap, so I'm going to pass you over to Tom.
The crew of the Enterprise NX-01 encounters a version of their own ship from 117 years in the future. This alternate Enterprise was sent back in time after an unsuccessful attempt to pass through a subspace corridor while trying to meet their Xindi contact, Degra. Over the generations, the crew has continued its mission, and the descendants of the original crew now populate the ship. The two versions of the Enterprise must work together to prevent the same fate from befalling Captain Archer's present-day crew. Conflict arises when the future Enterprise warns Archer that a successful journey through the corridor could mean the destruction of both ships. In a tense confrontation, they ultimately find a solution to avoid this outcome.
Fantastic, very good. So this isn't... It's kind of a time travel episode, but it's also kind of not, because the time travel shenanigans doesn't really affect our crew.
No.
I'm still going to call it a time travel episode.
Oh, so I would also class it
yeah,
as
I do
time
quite
travel
enjoy
episode,
time travel episodes. Now, right off the bat, we have another episode directed by Roxanne Dawson, who, as you know, is B'Elanna Torres, who, as you know, directed the last episode of Enterprise we spoke about on our podcast.
Yes, we're going B'Elanna Torres episode spree.
We are, yeah, fantastic. I think it's great, and I mean, yeah, what an episode for her to have directed. It was a good one. And obviously, I know I'll give you some context in a second about Enterprise and Season 3, but I personally found the previously on bit really helpful, because I've not watched Season 3 in quite a while. But yeah, would you like a quick rundown of Season 3? So, Season 3 of Enterprise is a whole long story arc. The other seasons are episodic. They have 2 and 3 parters, but they are episodic. And the premise of Season 3, I think it's a Season 2 final. Earth gets attacked by kind of like a knockoff Death Star. It's like a giant ball of something. It's like a giant ball spaceship, and it fires a laser beam at Earth, creates this massive channel of destruction in Florida, and it kills 7 million people. And it turns out that it was sent by an alien race called the Xindi, and it was a tester weapon. It's like a prototype, and the real one is on the way, and it's gonna blow up Earth, much like the Death Star. So Enterprise is sent off into this. It's called the Expanse, this region of space where the Xindi live, to go find the Xindi and stop them. They've never had contact with the Xindi before. They haven't heard of them. I think they're a bit like an elusive race, I think. But the Xindi themselves are quite interesting. They're from one planet. I believe it's one planet. But it's made up of 5 individual species. You've got like the mammals, the reptiles, the insectoids, aquatics, and a hominid. I don't know. There's 5. Yeah, it's like a humanoid one, a mammal one, insects, lizards, and fish, I think. Yeah, so there's 5 sentient species who are all, different on one planet, and they have this like little council thing going on themselves. And it's pretty interesting, and yeah, the story's pretty good. I think it's post 9/11, and it's kind of like I think it's supposed to be a bit of a commentary on Earth being attacked, America being attacked. I think that's the sort of general big premise of the show. Yeah. So we're quite late in the series here, and Archer, I believe, has at this point made contact with. I think Degra helped design this Xindi weapon, and I think he's now convinced him that actually. Sorry, I've got ahead. Why are they destroying Earth? Why do they want to attack Earth? In Enterprise, of course, all the series, they have like a subplot which is not the best, but it's there. It's called the temporal Cold War, and what it is a bunch of time traveling people from the future. Future isn't like beyond like next gen, like the 26th century or something like that. And they're fighting basically a Cold War, covert war, back in the 22nd or 23rd century, whenever Enterprise is set. So that's kind of, and they've convinced the Xindi that Earth is going to rise up to dominance and this Federation, which hasn't yet been born, is going to go and destroy and wipe out the Zindi homeworld. So they're doing like a preemptive strike. So yeah, back to where I was a second ago. Archer manages to convince Degra that this is actually, they're being misled by time travelers, and they've got to go stop the Zindi weapon. I think that's the gist of it. So that's like the time pressure, like here.
So why Florida? Chose Florida.
I have no idea. I'm fairly certain it's Florida. Maybe it's Disney World.
Yeah.
Real thing against alligators. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure it's Florida. But the engineer, Tucker, he's from Florida, and his sister dies in the thing. So there's like that emotional connection we have.
Right.
But because it's like a long story arc, I assume you saw that the Enterprise was battered and bruised.
Yeah.
Big gashes in the ship. And that's because they've been away from Earth and space dock and any kind of allies for months. And yeah, this is the result of a ship. And I always kind of wished that that's what Voyager would look like. After 7 years in the Delta Quadrant, I kind of hoped it would look battered, bruised, and have
a bit like that Borg cube from the last episode.
Exactly. If Voyager's been traveling through the Delta Quadrant for 7 years, it shouldn't have been able to basically reset. I know there was a bit of disagreement between like the show runners and the writers. Like the writers and the creators of the show, they wanted that. They wanted the Voyager to be limited supplies, take on damage, and that damage would carry through episode to episode. But the showrunners were like, no, we basically just want another next gen. We want like an episodic TV show. But I think it would have been cool if by season 7, Voyager had vastly different nacelles and had like bits growing off the ship and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah,
I digress.
Letters peeling off and all that.
Yeah, we're not talking about Voyager here. We're talking about Enterprise. But I love the Enterprise. I love how it looks in this episode. So do you feel a bit more clued in now, having seen the episode?
I do. I mean, having only watched a couple of episodes of Enterprise in the past, it's nice to know the background on these, especially long series, season-long plot lines.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And another like big plot in this episode, which is, again, it culminates mostly in this season 3, is at some point, T'Pol gets a drug addiction. Trillium or something, basically. And it basically unlocks her emotions, and that genie's out the bottle. It's sort of, you mentioned this episode quite a bit, that she won't be able to never be able to regain those emotions, that control.
She'll always have it with her.
Yeah. And as a long story arc, it's really fantastic, really good character development just quickly back on the look of Enterprises. The other Enterprise looks cool too. How it's been like traveling around for like 100 years. And it's got all these bits added onto it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Reminded me a little bit of, maybe it wasn't the same one. What's that episode where they see in Star Trek Next Gen when they meet the Riker that's been through the war, and they see all the other Enterprises appearing?
You can't send us back. You can't. Yeah, that one. Yeah. That's
reminded me a little bit of that, like the same ship, but obviously modifications and different.
Or in is it the season final of TNG where you see like the Enterprise D refit and it has like a third nacelle?
Yeah,
and it looks a bit silly, but I kind of like it.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, I like when we get those alternate looks. Okay, so when like both Enterprises have kind of met, and they're Archer and Lorian is the captain of the other ship, and they first meet, and he's trying to convince Archer that they are who they say they are. They go to sickbay, and they test their DNA, and
it is them.
It is them, yeah. And Phlox, the doctor, says, yes, this DNA is definitely yours, T'Pol. And then in the back, Archer says, who's the father? That's not his question to ask.
No.
He should not be asking that question.
No, that's true.
Yeah. I think T'Pol should have asked that question. And it really struck me on my first watch. I was like, come on, Archer, you should know better than that.
Yeah.
Patient confidentiality and all that.
Exactly.
Really threw me.
Did he know at that point that these were them from the other?
Yeah, they knew that.
They already knew. So it's quite a personal thing to ask.
Yeah, so this is Lorian's DNA, and Phlox has said this has got T'Pol's DNA in there. And obviously he, asking who's the father. Cheeky git. But on that on that note, the episode does a few times. People shared details about who they're going to hook up with and who they're going to have kids with and stuff, and their descendants. That must be really awkward.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, because a few situations are going to happen here. People are going to try and get together who probably wouldn't normally get together. They only got together because the ship was stranded 100 years in the past. Tricky circumstances, but they may not have got together otherwise. So they may try and force a relationship where it maybe shouldn't happen.
Yeah. Unless they were stranded 100 years back in the past.
Yeah, and let's say, for example, you, Tom, you're dating somebody right now.
This is a fictional universe.
This is a fictional Tom, where Tom is fictionally dating a fictional person. Yeah. And you then find out that actually that's not the person you end up with long term, and you have kids with that person over there, this other fictional person. Well, what do? Do you call off your current relationship to go pursue this other one where the future...
Yeah, I mean, is the future that they experience what they are is definitely going to happen? Is it like predestined based on these other people they've met, or could it change? Because I would think, well, if I like this person I'm with, then I'm going to stay with them. If I got what the future says, if I don't like them or having doubts, then I'll be like, well, I'm really sorry, we've got to break things off now because
I've got to go.
The future
says this person over here.
The future says I must bonk, this person. Yeah,
I think that would create so much conflict, so much drama.
Yeah,
that would be insane. Because that kind of conversation happens. You remember when 3 of the crew sit down to have lunch, and it's Mayweather the pilot, Hoshi the comms officer, and Reed the tactical guy, and he's like, the Reed line came to an unceremonious end. He didn't meet anyone.
Oh yeah, he's really disappointed about that one.
Yeah, he was. I think you'd be too. You didn't meet anyone for the rest of your life.
Then she's trying to make him feel better by saying, "Well, there's only a third of the ship
crew are women." Yeah.
Women. Yeah.
I mean, that's a good point. Maybe you hooked up with a dude. Just because he doesn't have kids doesn't mean he didn't
exactly.
find love.
Yeah, so that means 2/3. If he's just limiting himself to women, then
exactly need to open his options a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah. But when they finish that conversation, the first thing he does, the first woman he sees, he's like, "Oh, this table's free. Come and sit down with me." So he's then made it his mission immediately. It's like, okay, I'm going to get in there first.
Yeah.
I'm going to meet literally anyone. I don't know if he does actually end up hooking up with any of the crew during the rest of the show. Yeah, Malcolm Reed is he's a bit of an awkward character.
He reminded me of a mix between Bashir and Barkley.
Yeah, it's not bad actually. That's pretty good. Yeah.
That's what knowing his character yet.
Yeah, he can be pretty stuck up. Stoic.
It's more like season 1 Bashir.
Yeah, but nowhere near as sexist. No, he's never a womanizer. Not really. Okay, so I take that back. There was one time he was drunk and he says, "T'Pol has a nice bottom." Oh, it's so bad. But he's also immediately going and changing destiny, because we presume that woman he spoke to, she got with somebody else and she had kids. So now the person that she was supposed to get with, he's like, well, she's talking to Reed, and he's my superior officer for drama. But there's a whole other show in this.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So I thought it was kind of weird that they were so open with who they were getting with and who was having kids and stuff.
Because if Picard was there, he'd be like, no, the Prime Directive, no, we can't.
Exactly, yeah.
This is revealing things that should not be revealed.
Okay, let's do a timeline talk now. So, the Enterprise goes back in time 120 years. And, okay, fine. We can't go visit Earth. We can't go change the timeline because it's before Cochrane's first warp flight.
Yeah.
We have to lay low for 120 years until we get back to the same spot. Good plan. That is not breaking the timeline. They know this. But they do go and try to stop the first Xindi weapon. So they wait 115 years or whatever it is. And they go and try and intercept that first weapon. So that would be changing the timeline. Do you follow me?
Yeah, it does.
So they don't want to change the timeline, pre-warp flight and pre-Federation, pre-Starfleet. But they do want to change it before the Xindi attack, which would change the timeline. Yeah, inconsistency.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when they... So just to make sure I've understood this right, they were sent back 120 years.
I think it's 117.
170 years. They were sent back by
this temporal anomaly,
By the
like a
temporal anomaly,
wormhole type thing.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. I mean, they would be technically going against time etiquette.
Time etiquette.
Yeah,
if
if they did do this, yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because like you think, well, if they're okay changing the timeline there and saving those 7 million people, why not just go back to Earth? I presumed that 117 years ago would be before World War III? Question mark? I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you remember in like TNG where Q takes Picard back to our train? He's like those
They're
soldiers
all
like
sniffing.
huffing cocaine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love that. So yeah, before that happened, I guess. I don't know. And why not break the timeline? Yeah, be the ones to make first contact with Vulcan before they get warp drives. Now we're really talking. Anyway, I like Old T'Pol.
I do.
Wasn't she fantastic?
It took me a while because obviously not knowing regular T'Pol that well to realise. I kind of suspect that's is T'Pol, but old.
Oh yeah.
And then
when the reveal happened, you actually had to wait for the reveal.
I had to wait for the reveal. Yeah. Whereas
yeah.
anyone that's a regular of the show would be like, oh, that's old T'Pol.
Yeah, obviously, of course.
Yeah.
There's a Vulcan.
Yeah,
old. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. I think she's great. I like how she again because you won't really like know this because you haven't seen much of a show, but regular T'Pol is quite again stick up butt kind of Vulcan. You know? And this old T'Pol is pretty chill.
Yeah.
Crack a joke, she's great. Want some tea? Pinch Archer's cheeks kind of thing. I love it. And I really like that scene. I think it's the best scene in the episode when young T'Pol goes and sees old T'Pol and they have that cup of tea and that conversation. And, she's trying to find that schematic for whatever. And she's basically saying that these emotions will be with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And that go date trip and stuff, go make that work. And I love that. I think that's fantastic. Really good scene.
Because, one of my favourite scenes was when T'Pol and the Doctor?
The Doctor's Phlox.
Okay, not Phlox.
Trip is the engineer.
Trip.
With the accent.
With the accent, yeah. When he's saying, we're never going to get together or something to that effect. Like, why would I ever want to be with someone like you? And
someone as stubborn as you.
Yeah, I like that scene.
Yeah, that's a great scene. And, because he's up for it. He's, I think, been into her for quite a while.
Yeah.
And he's like, validated, like, yeah, this can work. And she's like, no.
Yeah, I know.
And he's like, come on, we got actual proof here that we can work. Let's give it a go. I can't quite remember where the scene is, but it's after the old T'Pol has told Archer that Lorian's plan won't work, and she gives him schematics, and he goes and speaks to Lorian, and he's like, it will work, you've got to do it, it's the only way. And Archer goes, I've got 2 T'Pols telling me otherwise.
Yeah.
Hard agree. Normally on Star Trek, you got a Vulcan on the ship. They're the smart one. Spock or, 2 Vulcan stuff. Yeah, they're the clever ones.
Yeah.
If you got 2 of them telling you the same thing, listen.
Yeah. Double logic,
yeah. Towards the end of the episode, when the Enterprises are fighting, which is a great scene. It's actually I think it's pretty decent special effects.
Yeah.
Seeing the ships whiz about and it's good. I like it. And our Enterprise, the current Enterprise, uses the transporter to steal parts from the other ship and disable it. I'm like, obviously, why do we never see this in Star Trek? The transporter is such a powerful weapon and a powerful piece of tech.
Yeah.
It only ever gets used for beaming people around and cutting people in half and stuff. We never see it for just go beam out their warp core.
Yeah.
Beam all their crew into space.
Yeah, I guess they must have some safeguards in place, but maybe
it was like rules of war, maybe.
Or maybe it's certain rules that the transport has to obey.
Maybe
like the 3 rules of Isaac Asimov's. I must not beam people into space from an opposing ship, no matter how annoying they are.
Yeah, but even because what Archer was doing wasn't critical, just taking out a part to disable the ship. It'd be no different than shooting that part of the ship and disabling it that way.
True, but I guess it's more targeted, isn't it? And
I guess you could argue with it in the future, because these Enterprises, they don't have shields. They polarize to hull plating, whatever that means. But it's not shields as TNG. So maybe in the future we know we can't transport through shields.
Because that'd be great if you were being chased by an enemy ship and you're beam out their warp core,
Yeah.
and then it's like, I was stuck in space now.
It will just work. And
I guess every episode though that they're chased by something, they could keep
but
doing
that's
that. It
it.
might have a bit
It's
of
a bit too
detrimental
powerful
effect.
sort of thing. And,
Yeah.
So you have to, I guess, limit it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because in the original series, the fantastic episode of The Trouble with Tribbles. Have you seen that one?
I have.
The one with all the Tribbles?
Yeah.
At the end of the episode, I'm pretty sure it's this episode, and it's not the DS9 one. I'm pretty sure it's this one. Yeah, Scotty has beamed all the Tribbles onto the Klingon ship. So, kind of like biological warfare there. It's just like beaming on all these things. So they use a transporter in a novel way there. Yeah, we should see more cool transporter shenanigans.
Yeah.
Other than just beaming people around. Oh, speaking of original series, in this episode of Enterprise, we didn't quite get it in the last episode. At one point, T'Pol's at her science desk, and she pulls up to her face like some binoculars, like a periscope type thing.
Yeah.
And Spock has one of those on Kirk's Enterprise.
Huh.
So, yeah, we were saying before in the last episode how they sort of took design elements from the original series Enterprise, and sort of de-evolved it into this Enterprise. That's one of the things there. Spock had a periscope thing. T'Pol's got a periscope thing.
Good. I guess it would have been. Is it set between original series and
no
Next Gen? It's
no,
not.
This is set before the original series.
This is set before.
Yeah, this is set before the Federation exists.
Oh,
there's no Federation.
Edit that bit out because I sound like I don't have a clue what's going on.
You don't. That's okay. you've not really seen the show, so you know why. No, this is a prequel show.
Right.
So like the very first episode 1, is the first time humans meet a Klingon. It's great.
Way.
Yeah, I quite like it actually. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's great. And like one of the big premises of the show is that I think it's like 100 years after Cochrane's warp flight of First Contact.
Yeah.
And humans have been slowly developing starships and stuff, and and humans, particularly Archer, feels that the Vulcans have been withholding technology, withholding knowledge, and sort of delaying human progress. And this is the first Warp 5 ship that Earth has got. But the Vulcans have had Warp 5 ships, maybe like Warp 6 or 7 ships for decades. And they're like, give us the stuff. And they're like, you're not ready. You can't have it. That arrogant Vulcan way that they do.
Yeah. Your brain's not logical enough. Or whatever they'd say.
Yeah,
something like
it's so illogical.
It'll put you down.
It's too emotional, yeah.
Yeah.
In the climax of the episode, when they're fighting to get through that wormhole. Do you remember there's that cool shot where we see the Enterprise, our Enterprise, and they're fighting the enemy spaceships, and then out of underneath it floats out the other Enterprise, and they sort of merge off, and it's cool because they thought it was a sensor shadow. That's a cool scene. I liked it. Really liked it. I do enjoy some good unique shots, like in the Voyager episode last time when they were going into the Borg cube. That was cool.
Yes,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
I like those kind of unique things.
What I liked, he asked that question, didn't he? Like something about will it affect ourselves, and he's like, well, did they ever exist? Because what if they don't exist? Why have I got memories of them?
Exactly.
So it's
classic time paradox.
Yeah.
And obviously, I know it's sci-fi, but I never really understood time paradoxes.
No.
You just sort of fall back on Doctor Who's timey-wimey thing. Yeah. Just assume it works. Because they don't know what happened to them. They don't know that they disappeared because of the time paradox. They might have just been blown up or unable to come through the wormhole. So maybe they did exist. I don't know. And I guess it also begs the question, like how long have they been doing this? Have they been stuck in like a time loop, going round and round? Remember the TNG episode where Geordie's like, we could have had this conversation 5, 6 times, a dozen times. Who knows? Yeah. That, but on like 100-year scale.
I love that episode. Is that the one with the cards?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, how did you know my cards? And he's like, yeah, yes, your next card will be a queen.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And it turns out that maybe that's a different one.
It is an episode.
It is that one. And Data's like revealing things to them that then it's exploded. That's right. It is that episode.
It's a good episode because we get to see the Enterprise blow up like 10 times. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think at the end, Data manages to send himself a message like number 4.
That's right.
And it's like Riker's Pip, no 3 or Riker's Pips. I think it is.
Like
it's like go with Riker's
flies.
plan. I think it's like that.
Yeah.
I think so. We'll have to watch it after to get it on this podcast. Yeah, it's a good episode. We should have some more TNG.
Yes, more TNG.
Come on,
needed.
Tom's random number thing. So this episode is pretty kind of like on the nose about what it's about. It's a sacrifice episode. The episode is about sacrifice. The episode is the original crew who end up going back in time. They have to sacrifice their future for humanity. When they get there, when they get to this future or present, wherever it is, they try and sacrifice themselves but fail when destroying the Xindi probe. Lorian says, I had a chance to destroy it, but I didn't. And then it comes back around again. He gets that chance again. Lorian gets that chance to sacrifice himself and his ship for Archer and his ship. So has that sort of sacrificial theme coming. I hope that's a theme for this episode.
Yeah.
That's what I got. I got the episode like a big sacrifice kind of thing. I really like it.
So.
It's good, yeah. Our friend, obviously you know our friend Madeline, but our friend Madeline, who was on the podcast, episode 5 of the first series, the TNG one, she does not like Trip.
No?
I don't know if it's just the accent, but she doesn't like the accent. I'm like, stick with him. Yeah. Trust me, I promise you, he gets really good and you really sort of, you fall in love with him. Well, I did anyway. I think it's great. Some of the other characters we don't develop enough to sort of gain that connection with, like Hoshi and Mayweather, to sort of pilot and the comms officer. They both start out really good.
Yeah.
Mayweather was born and raised, I don't think he was born, but he was raised on like a cargo freighter, but just like, I think it's just like Warp 2 or Warp 1 or something. It's like a very slow, long-haul transport between Earth's early colonies. So he's already got like a lot of space experience when the rest of the crew doesn't. And, there was so much potential there, and it never really comes up. He should always be given like little bits of wisdom and advice to the crew. He's like, to prevent space sickness, you do this, or whatever little thing. And Hoshi, she's terrified of space. She doesn't want to be in space. She doesn't want to be on a spaceship. But she's a linguist and she can speak like 50 languages. And the idea of her going out in space and hearing these unique alien languages, that's her draw.
That's what made her go there.
Yeah. Again, great potential. It kind of goes somewhere, but not really enough for some of the other characters.
Yeah.
The very last line, I think it's by Degra, but when they've gone through the wormhole, they've met Degra now, and he goes, "Captain, you're early." You're like, take time. Yeah, you see.
That's true.
I like that. Quite like that. Right then, let's wrap up this bad boy.
Okay.
Let's get us another episode. Do you want to go first? I feel like I always go first. You go first. Give us a review. Give us an IMDb.
Okay, so I've come to this, as I mentioned, from someone that hasn't watched many episodes of Enterprise, and especially not any episodes of Season 3, unless we've covered any on this.
No, we're only in Season 4. One episode of Season 4.
No episodes of Season 3, therefore haven't really got the scope of knowledge needed to know the characters. Having said that, if I was judging this as a standalone episode, which it's not, but if it was, I thought it was really good. I like a good time traveling episode, or even if it wasn't, going back to the past or going to the future, it was still meeting the people and descendants of themselves. I like the interaction between T'Pol and Trip. Archer, I haven't really got an opinion on as a captain yet, but I think he played the part well. And I liked this Xindi. I liked, this, as you explained in the start of the episode, what their motives are for why they are being the way they are, being misled and all that. So, yeah, I liked the episode. And are we rating it now as well?
Yeah, give us a rating, give us an IMDb.
Okay, based just on my knowledge alone, I'm going to give it a 7.2.
Oh,
there's a lot of holes which I haven't got filled in yet regarding plots and purposes, but 7.2.
Yeah, that's really good. It's probably, as you say, like if you had more context of the show and the characters, you may have rated it higher.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do just that. I love this episode. I think it's great. Again, as you said, love time travel episodes. It's normally pretty good. And this isn't quite the kind of time travel episode where they just sort of finish and then that's it. It's all reset back to normal. It's kind of not. There have been things that have been changed. These future relationships we spoke about. I love the scene with T'Pol and T'Pol, and I I love where they're sort of exploring a bit more about Paul and Trip. I love all that stuff. I like seeing the Enterprise all battered and bruised. That's great. So yeah, I really like this episode, and I haven't seen Enterprise recently enough to know if this would be like in a top 10 of Enterprise. I think it might be. I think this might be a top 10 Enterprise episode. But I can't say that with any kind of certainty. But I'm gonna give it quite a high score, and I want to kind of like preface this by saying that I've tended to be sort of hovering my scores across all these episodes of the podcast around that sort of between like 6.5 and 8.5. That's kind of like the scope I have. So I want to kind of like broaden out. And I think in season 1 I rated, I think like in Purgatory's Shadow on DS9 I gave it like a 7.5, and the reality is that episode's actually amazing. It should have got much higher. So I think this episode I'm going to give it a 9. Is what I'm sort of dancing around.
Very high praise.
Very high score.
Yes.
I think going forward, I'm going to try and spread out my scores a little bit more, if that makes sense. Do an episode that I enjoy, give it a really high score. Yeah. Episode I don't, lower. Because otherwise, I'm just going to be like 7.2, 7.3. You know what I mean?
It'll be around that. Yeah. In fact, if you look on a lot of IMDb,
that's what they are.
For films, series in general, 7 tends to be the magic number for a lot of good shows.
Like average.
Like most people will go 7, 8.
Yeah.
And then bad shows or bad films tend to get around 6.
Yeah.
So there's not really like
that big
bad
variety.
Film is 2 or 3.
No, it's 4, isn't it?
9 or 10. It tends to be
Yeah. It's like last week I gave Voyager a 7, and I think that I got 7 or 7.1 or something.
Yeah.
And for me that episode was smack bang in the middle. It's fine.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It's not great. It's not bad. So yes, I'm giving this one a 9. Yeah, very high. Let's see what it got.
Yeah.
Enterprise, Season 3, Episode 21, E Squared, gets a 7.9.
Does it?
Pretty good score.
Yes, yeah.
It's a good episode.
Okay. Well, that's a good score.
It is a very good
score.
For a good episode. Yeah, we're now going to go select an episode. A few little rules and things around this. We will watch 2-parters. We won't watch whole story arcs. If we get the same episode we've already had, we'll go up or down. The next episode we watch can't be the one we've just watched. So in this case, it'll be Enterprise. We couldn't have Enterprise for the next selection. But also, we can't have the same show more than twice per season of Warp Factor Unknown. So 10 episodes. Now, we've already had 2 episodes of Enterprise. So that's it. For the remainder of this season, no more Enterprise. We've had 2. We don't want to bog ourselves down with too much Archer, too much Trip.
Enterprise is being removed.
So no more Enterprise. So everything is now up for the running.
Number between 1 and 13. And I'm going to now roll for the series. Okay. Quite a high number.
Cool.
We have 11.
11. Now remember, folks, this is 11 in the way that Tom's written down on his list, which is not in any kind of order.
So we have another toss.
Oh, and original series.
Original series.
Whoop. Yeah.
Yes,
cool.
original series is good.
Fantastic. Good.
So I'm now rolling for the season.
Which is there are 3.
3 in total. 2.
Ooh.
Straight in the middle. So we just need to find out how many episodes there are in season 2.
I would say 21. I'm guessing.
I'm going to say 24.
26.
Wow. Okay, so I'll now roll for the episode.
Okie dokie.
Okay, the episode we have chosen for us is 22.
22. Nice.
So, which one is that?
That is By Another Name.
Okay.
Now, give me a second. Let me find a synopsis for that. That doesn't ring a bell to me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. By Any Other Name.
By any other. Okay.
By Any Other Name. Okie dokie, here we go. Extragalactic aliens hijack the Enterprise and turn the crew into inert solids, leaving the 4 senior officers on their own to exploit their captor's weakness. I don't remember this one.
Okay.
There is a picture here on Memory Alpha, and I think I might remember it. I'll show you, Tom.
Yeah.
There's a couple of characters, and they have like a belt buckle thing.
Yeah.
I think they press that, and it freezes everyone.
Okay.
I don't remember that one, but I like the original series, so this will be good.
Yeah, definitely.
By Any Other Name. Fantastic. I'll be curious to know, if there's a, well, there obviously will be a meaning behind that title, but what it is.
What? Yeah. Why is it?
So it's a bit of a strange name. To be fair, the episode we had today, E Squared, was also a bit of a, didn't really make. Oh wow, it does. Enterprise Squared, Enterprise 2.
Yes. No. Yeah. Two of them.
Yeah. Live reaction, folks, of Dan just getting what. Wow, I feel smart. Fantastic. So that's what we'll watch next time. Now, Tom, before we actually finish and wrap up, you remember last time when we had our guest, Sasant, on?
Yes.
He made us go and choose a crew member for a hypothetical dream ship.
He did.
And I really enjoyed it. I don't know if you did. Do you want to do it again?
Go for it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad you said yes, because I already went and did like some prep work for this. I think what we should do, each episode we could select a station or a role within the ship, and then choose our favourite character for that in our dream ship.
Yeah.
So last time we had First Officer, and I chose Saru, and you chose Kira, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
So what other role would you like to choose this time?
Should we go Captain?
Let's do. You want to go straight to Captain?
Oh no! Let's start somewhere else.
Okay,
actually, yeah. All right, Chief Engineer.
Chief Engineer, fantastic. Okay, I made a list of all the engineers I could think of, but maybe it's not quite complete. So if there's anyone else on there that you want to add in, sure, let's go for it.
Yeah.
And also, if there's someone they're like, they're not an engineer, we can take them off anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Let me run through the engineers that I could come up with. We have Scotty from the original series. But there would also be Scotty from like the Kelvin Trek movies.
Yeah.
Like, Simon Pegg.
Oh, yes.
So there'd be two versions of Scotty. Geordie, O'Brien, B'Elanna Torres, Tucker from Enterprise, Stamets from Discovery, also Jet Reno from Discovery, Jake and Pog from Prodigy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Hemmer from Strange New World. I know you've probably not seen that one. And Andy Billups from Lower Decks. I'm sorry, I couldn't get a photo.
No, that's all right.
I couldn't find a photo of him. Yes. So, who's your chief engineer?
I'm going to have to go with O'Brien.
Snap.
Yeah, I just think in terms of the perfect chief engineer that you have to fix things, hardworking, O'Brien's got to be.
It's got to be O'Brien. Yeah, you're right. He's a brilliant engineer. He can build anything out of anything. He can fix anything. He is also, he's kind of like he can be a friend. I think he's have a drink down at Quark's kind of thing.
Quite down to earth.
Quite down to earth, and also he's got experience as a soldier, so he can branch out a bit. So yeah, I was also snap decision.
Yeah,
O'Brien. That long list of people.
I know,
and it was just O'Brien. I would like to give a couple honourable mentions for me, and that is Jet Reno from Discovery. We don't really get too much of her, but what we do get, she's really good. She's really quite got a really good sense of humour. I think if she had more character time in the show, might be in the running. In the exact same with Hemmer from Strange New Worlds. He's Andorian, which is fantastic. He's a white Andorian. He's like I think he's like a snow one. I think how it goes, and he's really good. We don't get very much of him in Strange New Worlds. And I think if he'd like sort of been around for like 7 seasons, like O'Brien had, I think he might be in the running. But no, as it stands, O'Brien, and you can also just do the transporter stuff as well. You can just sit there. He's very patient.
I would have Geordie in second place. Oh
yeah. My problem with Geordie, his character can be a bit awkward sometimes, particularly when it comes to women.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So fantastic. That's our character for this episode. Next time we'll do someone else. I think it's quite fun to go through. We'll slowly build our dream crew.
Yeah.
That's it done for today. Let us wrap up. So we got, was it the original series episode, season 2, episode 22, by any other name? Yeah, that was it. Yeah, please everyone, if you want to go away and watch the episode as well, that'd be fantastic. Also, don't forget to like and share our podcast and share it with your friends and everyone else. And any comments, YouTube, Spotify now has comments. You can email us. Email address is warpfactorunknown@outlook.com. Again, it's warpfactorunknown@outlook.com. But thank you for listening to Warp Factor Unknown. I've been your host, Dan. I've been joined by my co-host Tom.
Delivered to be here as usual. Thanks for listening, guys and girls
And girls.
and everyone.
And everyone in between. Yeah. Today we talked about the Star Trek Enterprise episode E Squared, and that was from Season 3, Episode 21. Join us next time as we take another deep dive into Star Trek with our original series episode. And until then, thank you for your continued support. The music we use for our podcast is called Starfleet Command by Jeff Harvey, and you can find more of his work on pixabay.com.